The following audio may contain coarse language and other material that may not be suitable for a younger audience. Viewer discretion is advised. Also, we may spoil anything and everything, so you have been warned. Alright, so, again, we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm just going to go ahead and do the thing. If everyone can try to be as nice to each other as possible and, be reasonable to one another. All right, cool. 3, 2, 1. Batman v Superman is the best fucking movie ever. Fuck yourself. Go fuck yourself. Fuck you.
And I love it. I love it.
I haven't been that bored in
okay.
a theater in a long time.
Oh my god.
Oh, Trevor with the sharp comments. Let's go.
Damn.
Let's go. Come on. What's up? What's up? Oh my god, my mic is exploding.
Mike is like, kill me now.
This is going to be good. Okay, so if you guys can't guess already, we went and saw Batman v Superman. We have a lot of feelings to talk through and a lot of arguments to be had. So let's go ahead and do around the circle. First up, we have Trevor.
Yeah, I hated it. I'll just throw that out there.
No, just introduce yourself, Trevor.
Just say hi.
Oh, okay.
He's Trevor and he
Sorry.
hates
We'll get
Batman
to
versus
that.
Superman.
You got me
That's
all
you need to
pumped
know.
for the vitriol, and I just came out of the gates running. My name's
We'll
Trevor.
get to
I'm
it.
not entirely cynical. I wait tables. I read a lot. Just
Oh my
please
god, the laugh.
get on with it.
All right, Sarah. Oh, God.
Hi guys, I'm Sarah. How you doing?
And Peter.
What's up, guys? I'm Peter. How's it hanging? Hope it's low.
And I think we have Ben somewhere on this podcast. What's that sound? Do people hear a sound? It sounds like somebody's being edited out of the podcast.
Whoa.
Quick, everyone!
What
Batman
does that
Superman's the worst
sound
movie I've ever seen!
Oh, God, who edits this? Y'all are fucked. No, I swear I will only edit that first little bit of Ben's introduction. From here on out, no one is censored because I appreciate all of your feelings, as wrong as they may be. Moving on, I want to go ahead and get started, and I feel like Trevor was ready to rip, roar, and ride, and so let's hear what you had to say about Batman v Superman.
I guess I'll give it some credit first of all. A lot of the argument being made out there, I think, is that DC tried to do something new, and give it just a darker feel and make an actual conflict hung over from the last Superman movie, where Batman sees all the destruction in the opening. And I thought that opening was pretty cool and set up the conflict really well. But then they just start building up all these themes of like God versus man that don't really pan out. And Lex Luthor's played by Jesse Eisenberg, is unbearable right in the middle of it all.
Oh, man.
And yeah, it just kind of fell apart. Wonder Woman was the best part. I gotta admit, the action scene towards the end with Doomsday was pretty kick-ass. But for the first hour and a half, 2 hours of the movie, I was just like, fight already. Like, I don't really care about the
Someone just
characters
punched the other in the
themselves or what their motivations are.
Just punch them.
Yeah. So
I won't lie, Jesse Eisenberg, even when I do the pro side, which will come here in a minute, but Jesse Eisenberg was absolutely unbearable.
Yeah.
In that
He was
role.
trying too hard. I'll admit that.
Yeah. Okay.
He was...
So,
I don't know what he was doing.
I think I'm just gonna insist that I don't think anyone else has a negative thing to say about this movie. So, Ben, come on, give me yours.
Batman vs Superman. I think I texted everybody it was the dawn of disappointment or bad payoff or something like that.
That's what it was.
Everything
It was
that's good
better.
about this movie is in the trailer. It feels like it would have been better as a 15-minute music video. There are elements that are cool, but they're so devoid of emotional impact or interest at all that they're just completely boring. So much of this movie is setting up Batman vs Superman fighting, and then they fight because he kidnaps his mom, and then there's a million things that I don't want to go into, little tiny nitpicks. Overall problem, I think, is the movie is nothing but overdone payoff for a boring fight that ends terribly, and then a 20-minute long battle with a creature that has no stakes, no interest, nothing at all. It wants to be this dark, gritty film, but also this crazy Zack Snyder punchy stuff thing, and by doing both terribly, it just ends up being boring.
Peter.
Okay, my feelings about this movie, it was It was decent. I don't think it deserves the shitstorm of reviews that it's getting, like people saying that it's horrible, but I don't think it's, like, great. It's a good, decent movie. I walked in and I had a good time while watching it. I was telling a friend yesterday, it's not something that you call home about. But if someone asks you, you will say that you're okay with it, you enjoyed it. You really only bring up your opinion if someone asks you, but you're not going to be like, it was amazing. So I mean, that's how I see it.
Sarah.
Yeah, pretty much the same feelings as Peter, to be honest. I went in and admittedly during the whole 3 hours of the movie, which it did not need to be that long, but
2 hours tops.
Yeah. But I didn't find myself really outright bored at any point. I mean, I was just like, oh, okay, well, this stuff is happening. I'm kind of ready for the next scene, but I wasn't like, please move on. Oh my God, this is awful at any point. Unpopular opinion, I kind of liked Jesse Eisenberg as Lex Luthor. That being said, I have not read any of the comics, so I don't know what Lex Luthor is supposed to be, if you will.
Which is,
I think
is super fair. Go ahead, Ben.
I think a big part of the problem, yeah, I agree. I wonder because Bryan Cranston was sort of the person everyone wanted to play Lex Luthor. And
that was going to happen?
That would have been badass. I would have fully supported that.
Like,
well,
I don't care how much you
opinion.
liked it. Like, you still want to.
Yeah,
still want that to happen.
This is my controversial opinion in that.
Or even get the guy from Smallville.
I think that his character is so poorly written. I don't think anyone can really do anything. I think Bryan Cranston probably could have brought something, but it probably just would have been more dull than weird. So at least I appreciate that he just went insane. It's a very memorable performance, even if it's not good, I think.
So I'm going to jump off there, and I'm going to go for the few positive. I like the experience that is Batman v Superman, and I use that loosely in terms of the term experience. I can agree with. I know. I'm gonna pull this back loosely. If we go back to kind of like this new thing, and I think that's the thing is, it's nice to go and see a superhero movie that isn't the Marvel method. And if you want to talk about what's actually been happening with kind of the development of superhero movies over the last couple of years, you go back to like the Sam Raimi original Spider-Man, and you realize like when they were building the method back then, and it's not, and that's not any relation to the Marvel of today, but they did look at the Sam Raimi movies when they were building the newer Marvel movies, and what they'll find is that he was doing, because of the way Spider-Man is, they were going for more of a comedy action vibe. And it has such a good flow to it because Sam Raimi's an excellent director that it's kind of imbued into all the newer movies that have come out more recently. I.e., like, and even in movies that it doesn't really work, like Captain America is essentially, for the first half of it, a funny story about like a soldier that's too skinny with like what's his face? Tommy Lee Jones running around yelling at him. Like they're comedy movies in a sense, and you don't really, they're kind of masquerading as comedy movies, and it comes off in that way, especially with experiences like that don't work for it, like Thor, which is essentially like a fish out of water tale, where it goes to the world and he's just like, oh, coffee, you don't throw the mugs on the floor, this is hilarious.
This is amazing.
But then you have, like, you go into this movie and it's just like, it's unapologetically comic in a different sort of way. And I think that's definitely the feel for this universe versus the other, and the feel for DC as a whole. DC has, like, it's not that they have better superheroes, it's that they have iconic superheroes as opposed to more down-to-earth human superheroes. I don't want to see a Marvel movie out of the DC universe, and this wasn't it. I want to see something that's more unapologetically comic, and I surprisingly got that out of this movie. Now, there's pluses and minuses to this. Like, I'll agree, like, the plot problems are very there. But, like, it didn't bother me that the villain was so abso-fucking-lutely incomprehensible. And let's be honest, that is the most incomprehensible plan ever put to screen.
I still don't understand what his motivation was.
Same.
It doesn't make any sense.
It doesn't help that they had one scene that was 1 minute long that explained the whole bell ringing. I know there's stuff coming. They cut, like,
as a deleted
2.5
scene.
hours long. Add the damn scene that explains the one thing that you didn't over-explain.
It actually would have helped immensely, and it's like 30 fucking seconds. And it's like, that was the moment you cut out of the movie. Were you that down to the wire in
like,
editing.
Like when he goes into the ship, because I feel like when he went to the ship and it's like this ship has a database of 20,000 different planets. It's like, okay, infer from there, please.
Yeah, I'm also just confused. I mean, it like that's the thing is it didn't make sense, but at the same time, it is unapologetic, and that's the thing is like it does great things. Like it had one of the original creators of Batman that's been snubbed for so long. It had him as co-creating Batman and the thing. That's a coup for comics. So it does some amazing things, but then it does some stupid things with the characters by having Thomas Wayne punch the Mugger, which is just insane and like the mythos of Batman, and it just like blows my fucking mind that they would actually do that. So it's like somebody that
I questioned that because I admittedly I saw it a second time with friends, which at least for me was like the more enjoyable movie going experience because all three of us had seen it. But like I wonder about that scene. Like was he actually throwing a punch or was he like just trying to step into the way of the gun? Like that's just me.
He's throwing a punch.
I think he's throwing a punch. He made a fist in front of his son. It's like, and I'm not gonna say. I think the thing is like. The problem for me is separating out like what I did and did not like. And I think the thing is like when you tear away a lot of the comedy from the Marvel movies, there's some incomprehensible bits just as clearly there underneath. More so in Ultron, because I'll always say the original Avengers is better than this movie. But you have to realize this is essentially an Avengers movie without a lot of the build-up and just one movie to do that. And I think the thing is like if you like I've seen a person just see Avengers and not the other movies. It's incomprehensible in just the same way to him. And I think that's a lot of the thing is a lot of people are giving plot criticisms and all this other stuff. Well, if they had more extended universe and more build-up, I think they essentially tried to make the Avengers without making all of the fucking build-up, which is a problem in and of itself. But I don't think it's damnable evidence that this movie is the worst thing ever put to screen. I do think it's better than Age of Ultron. I really do. I think that they both have a lot of the same comic book problems. But this movie is more. It has a much more interesting visual design that I really appreciate. So, for instance, like let's be honest, that's the best Batman fight ever put to screen of all the Batman movies. Like, and you can disagree, Ben, but like you and I both know that the Christopher Nolan film is like they're terrible for Batman fighting action.
Oh,
like they're just terrible. Yeah. So like I think like
especially melee combat. Yeah.
I still think like whatever getting past the plot or whatever else happened. Like, it was still a good experience for me to see these awesome fight scenes and to see Batman and Superman throw down and to have Wonder Woman come in between them like that. Like, it's still full of, like, good, excellent moments. And I think at the end of the day, I still had fun as a comic book fan in that theater. Understanding that as a movie critic, I was definitely less than appeased.
Well, that's
I understand where you're coming from with that, and I think it'll be very interesting when there are well-reviewed DC movies, because I feel like there has to be down the line. But they can't.
There's no way they're going to let this fail. Like it cannot keep failing.
They've got good directors like James Wan in the future, and other interesting filmmakers. And
I mean, he's doing voices. Aquaman, Ben.
Yeah, James.
Like the only good
Jason Momoa as Aquaman. I'm sorry, I know that's a really stupid thing to be excited about, but yes.
Sarah, I am right there in excitement for so many reasons. Both, like, he is extremely fucking hot. Two,
yeah, back to
hey, I'm just
can't nerd out too much.
All right, Ben.
The only thing I know about Aquaman is Jason Momoa.
God damn it, guys.
Literally the only thing.
But I think,
Ben, go.
Look, blonde people need roles too, okay?
But Marvel has that taken care of. We're done.
But
well, I think you made a good point, though, Jack.
I do agree that the Marvel franchise is getting old, and there is that sense of that formula is getting old for sure, and I understand that. But I don't think that just because this film goes somewhere different necessarily makes it better than those films. I do think you're right, it has those moments, but it feels like it takes those moments, it doesn't know why they mean anything. It'll be like, oh, this is from Death of Superman, but you understand why that's important. It just is that scene. Or,
let's be honest.
From Long Halloween, but it's just that scene. It's not really like
if you're going to compare it,
point of it.
If you're going to compare it to the success of the Marvel movies, I think it's a fair point you made that it's taking a lot of criticism for just not being as fun as those movies. But
yeah, no, I think that's dumb. I think it's a bad film. It's not.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Right.
I was going to say
you can't hate it because it's not Marvel. Whatever.
In defense of the critics, those movies still present characters with clear motivations, and the fun part of the fun of the movie is just well set up, like relatable characters, not just in that they're less
Thor
iconic.
A relatable character? I mean, like I agree that there are like better movies. I'm not saying like I think this movie is worse than like the majority of the main setup for the Marvel universe, but like I think like in terms of storytelling within the tentpole movies, like I don't think it does better characterization than, I mean, obviously Avengers does better characterization.
right.
Like that's like talking about the gold standard of like fucking comic book movies.
Okay,
like you're not
fair.
going to compare this to it. I agree with that. It does better characterization than Avengers 2, but again, that's a sequel to a movie that did a shit ton of characterization, so it's hard to compare that. At the same time, like
I just don't think.
like
Okay, go ahead. I don't think
no, go
that
ahead.
the DC characters being more iconic is excuse for them to be less developed. If that makes any sense.
Okay, well, first I will say this: Henry Cavill is the worst fucking actor ever. And that's not to say he's the worst actor. He's just he's more of just a poor shit choice for Superman because he always comes off super fucking smug, and it just
This
doesn't
is
work
true.
for what
Yeah.
Superman
He was really
Lamb.
good,
is supposed to be.
Man from Uncle when he's supposed to be a smug jerk. Yeah.
But you can't blame it on the actors.
He's super
either.
dick is like what he is. He's just running around being super dick, and you're just like, fuck you.
Oh God.
Like,
Batman.
don't
I mean,
blame
that was my
Cavill
experience
much.
in the movie. I was like,
Really
yeah,
bad
Batman,
mental
fucking.
image right now.
There's a great essay out
Bat-
there about how implausible sex between Lois Lane and Superman would actually be when you think about it.
Yeah, it's just like you're looking at like Batfleck, and you're like, kill him, motherfucker, kill him. Wipe that grin off his face, motherfucker. So like, I don't know, like maybe I took some.
I don't root for either people. At first, I'm rooting for Batman because they open it up really well. Like, okay, we're gonna do the excuse for Man of Steel. We're gonna see Bruce Wayne look at the footage, the destruction of Man of Steel from the ground level, which was awesome. Made me want to like watch an entire movie about people during Ultron. Like, what? Our city is floating. What the fuck is happening? Like, it's just a very interesting
There'd
ground
be a
level
lot of
view of a
screaming,
superhero
Ben. There would be
movie.
a lot of screaming.
Yeah,
I
I'd
want
be
to point out
fascinated
that
by
that actually did happen in the first Man of Steel because there was a lot of incomprehensible stuff where Lawrence Fishburne was running around
Oh,
trying to
okay.
save people, and I'm just gonna say, Ben, that was terrible.
It was terrible.
So-
it was terrible.
so I
But
think
didn't say you
that-
can't do it well.
I'm not saying you can't do it well, but like I'm just saying, like I don't have any
Well,
more
I
need
think
for
this
any
one
more
did
of
do it
that.
well. I think that one of the better sequences is Bruce Wayne trying to save everybody and watching Superman from afar.
Oh,
and
yeah.
that gives great motivation. But then, like, later on, he's like murdering people and he's having dreams about killing
Okay.
people in Afghanistan, and it's just like, he beats Superman over the head with a fucking toilet, and you're just like, this guy is as insane as Superman.
It doesn't make
It's so
any
hard
sense.
for me
It's-
to root for him.
Yeah.
I feel like
mean,
the
that's
whole
the
branding.
decision. I think-
I feel like the whole branding thing with Batman at the
yeah.
beginning was really unnecessary. Like,
Yeah.
I maybe if
Let's
they
talk
had
about how
continued
a
it
lot of the
more.
Batman violence was super fucking unnecessary.
Yeah, I thought
and,
the
like,
training sequence was unnecessary as well. Now maybe
Yes.
that's just because I
Wasn't
don't really
unnecessary
enjoy
for the
seeing.
abs.
Okay, well,
And see,
yeah,
that's
I agree
in
with that.
fairness to you guys, I don't
wasn't-
enjoy seeing.
It
you know,
wasn't
shirtless men,
unnecessary
but-
for my erection.
That's fair. That's fair. To be
was-
fair, I agree with Sarah. There should have been also an equally as hot Wonder Woman training sequence.
One of the dumbest
balance
lines
out
in this
the,
movie. Yeah.
Maybe it will come. Maybe in Wonder Woman's movie we will
Let's
get
be
that.
honest too. Like the big thing about this movie is it feels like it was taken around town during the editing sequence. Is I think my biggest problem
sure.
with this, and I think
Yeah.
I think that I think that it was like, for instance, like I see sequences, I see like the good that it was meant to do, and then I just see terrible decisions like cutting out that 30 seconds of like background that would have explained Lex Luthor in a better way. Not that that makes Jesse Eisenberg's performance or the peach piss tea like acceptable, but at the same time, like it just adds like like these little like pointers that like I feel like this movie is like missing like directional material, like in terms of like and that's the thing is the editing is like this movie does not have establishing shots.
It's crazy.
Like it just
We
doesn't
talked
do
about
them.
this.
It
It cuts
is,
to black
it's
so
like a
many
Guinness
times.
World Record of like it just cuts into close up on Batman's face and he's all grizzled and shit.
And it cut to black so many times. It was just like someone pointed out a great point. It was just like, how do you even mess this up? Where he's like, he says a line where he's like, "Oh, where's that kid?" It's like he clicks his heels and goes to Kansas. How do you not cut to Batman in Kansas? It's like the most obvious
That
cut
would
on
have
the
been
planet
perfect. Like, perfect leading line.
Right.
I still stand by the fact that I had a fun experience in the movie, and I would
I
recommend
agree.
to other people to go see it. I think that's what it comes down to for me. As I'm not saying that it has to be a thing. I think it was a fun comic book experience, and I think that's sometimes all a movie has to be. And if you want to tell me that it's not well made, go screw yourself. That's a beautiful sequence with Martha Wayne in the movie with the pearls and the gunshot. Where it gets caught on the gun.
Yes.
there's so
I
many
love
beautiful
that.
moments in this movie,
Taken
and that's the
directly
thing. It's
from the
still
comic sequence.
a good. Yeah, I know. That's
so
the thing.
beautiful.
He's
It was so beautiful.
It's Zack Snyder. He is recreating a comic book sequence. He can't put it together, but like he's still making something absolutely gorgeous
Yeah.
that no other director or no Marvel movie has done. So of course, it's
as we
something
saw
new.
him-
It's different.
As we saw him
Doesn't
wonderfully
work.
do with Watchmen, he is really good at taking page and putting it to screen. As far as like image 1, image 2, image 3, he's really, really, really good, damn good at that.
I think the movie would be a lot better if he stuck with more simple ideas and didn't try to reach. I mean, again, like I wouldn't rather him not try to do more, but when he gets into trying to develop this whole conflict between like Superman is a god and he's unaccountable and goes to the trouble to get in like Neil deGrasse Tyson and all these cameos
I love that.
to talk about it.
I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
gonna lie.
I love that part too because it was like
You start to understand the $800 million budget when you got Anderson Cooper on.
True story.
Oh yeah, that's Silver Fox.
Can we
No,
just
I-
stop
I-
having Nancy Grace yell about superheroes? I'm so tired of seeing. He's doing it since Hancock,
okay,
man. Like,
okay, please tell me I wasn't the only one who like totally rolled my eyes when she popped up on screen. Please tell me.
it's like whenever you need someone to be like, "What's Superman doing?" I just hate Superman.
Like,
Like,
if I can speak to like the motivation of the two of them fighting each other, like if you go back and watch the Warner Brothers animation movie of Justice League War, where that movie, like, at least in that movie basically deals with essentially what DC's trying to do right now, where like,
Right.
where they have Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman,
Except
Green
it cuts
Lantern.
to the fucking point.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Peter.
No,
Like I love Justice
no,
League
no, that-
War
no, that's
because
what-
it just cuts to
no,
the
that-
point
that's
and
what I'm saying.
Darkseid
That's-
shows up and they
no,
just
that-
have a fight.
Like that's exactly what I'm saying. In that movie, in the beginning, none of them had any idea who each other was, and so they had a fight in the beginning before trying to figure out what the hell bad shit was actually happening. They had the motivation of just simply not knowing who each other was, and that was why they were beating the fuck out of each other. With this movie, we had to wait 2 hours to get to that point.
right. So
Yeah.
you're saying there's even like a movie where they fought and then fought another thing that did it better. So
Right,
it's
like
even
like
that's
yeah.
at least as far as like we're fighting each other for this reason. The animated film did that like 10 times better because it's like we're fighting now. It's in
Okay,
the
we're
first
not going to
15
talk.
minutes.
We can't. I have issues with the new animated universe to begin with, and I'll talk about that.
Well, I
later,
mean,
Peter, but, like,
I'm not addressing.
no.
the
I mean,
gameplay.
I agree.
Just
I agree.
that
Like
movie.
it tells the story better, and it does that better.
Just that
I mean,
movie.
the fact that like Superman is boning Wonder Woman in that story. Like, do we want to get into that?
Okay, no,
No.
and
I
that's
don't- I don't
exactly why I
particularly-
didn't bring it up.
I don't particularly want to bring that up, and not. It's not offensive, Sarah. It's just more like it's just very ham-handedly done.
Yeah,
And
I
it's
mean,
kinda
I feel
creepy
like it's
because they're
just
like-
there because Superman, Wonder Woman, they must get together. Obviously,
It's-
like that's
it's
predictable
exactly-
and uninteresting.
It's uninteresting, and that's the thing is because like the Batman's Wonder Woman combination has actually always been more interesting in terms of like Wonder Woman having the power and being stronger than him, and being able to one up him in a very interesting way. It has definitely a more interesting like female power dynamic that I've always liked, and that's the thing is like who can only one Superman could tame a woman this powerful. It's just creepy.
Yeah.
I really
Yeah.
hate it.
Very
And that's the thing is
1950s.
like the Batman. I like that they did do that. They did know who to like. There were so many little bits that they did do so well, and that's what drives me nuts. it's like because I was in there and my comic book brain was going, oh my god, motherfucker, look at this, and then they do like this most ham-handed shit, like just having her open up a drive with the symbols, like the superhero symbols, like that was so
Terrible.
bad.
The trailer
Someone said,
sequence,
yeah. She watched the the last act of her own movie.
I feel like that would have been a lot cooler for people who have read the comic books and so they know what all the symbols mean. Like, for instance, I recognized, Aquaman. Okay, there's a guy with a trident underwater. Sure.
Boom.
The Flash, guy moving really fast. I assume it was the Flash. But
Yeah, it was the
I
Flash.
I don't know who the third
Cyborg.
person was. Was it
Cyborg.
Cyborg.
Okay.
Yeah,
See,
and that was
like,
a mother
since
box,
I
and it
didn't
got
read
diffused
comic
with
books,
him.
that meant absolutely nothing to me.
Well, even if you do read comic books, it's like frustrating because all those people
Yeah.
came up with their own symbols, and now it's like Lex Luthor came up with everybody, and he's responsible for
Gotcha.
basically getting everyone together. Like that's really weird.
Yeah, why did he like? If I feel like Lex Luthor like had like a meeting committee. He's like, we need to make superhero for all these
Yeah, he has, like, a
superheroes on the
logo
run.
department.
Yeah.
We're
Like,
gonna
got
have like a
marketing
logo
division on it.
department. It's
Hey,
like
we
everything
need
at Lex
branding.
Corp
We
has
know
its
it's
own
not.
individual logo. They have like an overzealous logo committee.
Guys, we can do this.
It's
Yeah,
like,
like
Doomsday was
Diana's
like
looking at,
cold,
like,
and they're like,
oh.
oh, we already got his logo
Their
ready.
only
He's been
job.
alive for like 2 minutes. All right. But I think the thing for that is it definitely feels like it had a different design. Like that was supposed to be some sort of like viral marketing campaign that people found online or hacked into LexCorp or something along those lines, or like a fake LexCorp site. That's what it felt like.
It should have been.
And then like it felt like there was supposed to be something else somewhere, and then it's like, oh my god, it's in the movie and it's the same thing. Look at this. Like, I mean, I think that would have been cool. Like that's the only excuse I have for why how ham-handed it is to do that.
Like a virtual reality game type thing.
Justice League
that's
setup
something
is just weak, especially at the end where it's like Batman has kind of known Wonder Woman for a little bit, and is at Superman's grave. Like, we should set up Justice League because reasons. I feel like that would be a good idea.
Again, the whole thing where you
movie.
give me 30 seconds of Lex Luthor talking with the dude with 3 mother boxes, and you're like, oh, Darkseid's coming. Batman's vaguely aware that Darkseid's coming. Everything makes sense now. Oh wait, we're just gonna cut this very important 30 seconds out of this movie, and it's almost like they realized as soon as they released it, it's like, oh man, we really needed that 30 seconds. It's like because of course like everyone sees it as a deleted scene, and but let's be honest. The great majority of people, like that's the thing is like who you're capturing, and I think that's the thing that I like about this movie is it's not made to capture a mainstream audience in the same way that Marvel movies are.
Well, it's supposed to be, but maybe it's not necessarily.
No, well, I think that might be a failure on somebody's part, and a success on Zack Snyder's. No, I'm sorry, Ben. I think that like for the individual movies out there are comic book fans. Like obviously, like Jon Favreau with the original Iron Man was a huge comic book fan and gets Iron Man in a way that like I don't think anyone else has gotten a different character in such a way. Like, and that was just like lightning in a bottle in a different sort of way. But the issue is, like, you get guys like Kenneth Branagh doing Thor, and it's like, does he really get Thor? Or the comic book Thor? No, like, Kenneth Branagh's doing his Hamlet impersonation. That's what's happening.
The thing is, I think Zack Snyder gets imagery. I don't think he gets tone. You know what I mean? Where I think
I don't disagree with that at all.
Thing, it's beautifully shot, but I think it loses all impact of him getting murdered because it's so, like, fuckable almost. It's like he has to make the murder of their parents the most, like, beautiful looking shots ever, like, and so even that loses kind of tonal impact for me because it's just so like gorgeous, and every shot is so brilliant, you know, and like, or the Superman saving people sequences, they're gorgeously shot, but they're so dour and weird, and like they make you feel uncomfortable almost, even though they're really,
you add to that
really well done.
The fact that shot, that beautiful of the murder in the beginning, was just setting up this moment. The whole plot hinged upon that Batman and Superman's mother happened to share the same name.
That was really lame. I'm sorry.
And that's what that shot ultimately accomplished.
Rolled my eyes when this happened.
We agree. We don't have to pile on here. We get it. The plot does not work.
I'm just saying that's an example of how beautiful imagery serves nothing. Like it did not serve a good point.
No, it doesn't. I disagree. I think imagery does not have to be tied to something. I think that's the thing. Would you recommend somebody go see this movie?
Well, no,
not particularly.
I totally disagree.
I would say arrive like halfway through and watch it for the Wonder Woman sequence at the end, and then that's all you need.
I told my ex, like, I'm gonna
I
send her the
disagree,
Wonder Woman
guys.
sequence.
I think a lot of the stuff is interesting, and a lot of the stuff at the beginning is very visually interesting, and I think the creation of the universe within itself is interesting.
I agree.
And I think I had a good time doing it, and I think that's the difference. Is like you're like it comes down to like kind of your thesis on how to rate a film, and I think that this maybe like, you know, I still appreciate bad films in the same way, and that's the thing is you don't give up. It's not really a bad film if we're talking about it. Like we talk about Demolition Man, and we're like, oh, it's a bad film. It's not really a bad film. It scratches an itch in a sort of way that gives it like movie merit. I'm not saying that it's like it's like a deep movie. It isn't, but it's an exciting experience. It's an experience I'd want people to go and see, and it's an experience that I would recommend to people. Because it is an action-packed experience, and let's be honest, that climactic finale, like I was sitting in the theater watching my heroes from my youth, like throw down with Doomsday was things, and I think that it does a fight scene better than anything in Age of Ultron, better than that, and that's the thing is it did match some of those moments out of the Avengers, and that's not to say is like you're like for me it shot short of the Avengers and fell well short of it, but like it hit tone and moments in there that were just as good as the Avengers. And I think for me, like anything that's even touching that golden goblet, like, you know, it's worth seeing, and I think I stand by that.
Can I ask a question about Doomsday as a non-comic book person?
Yeah.
Okay. Is that what Doomsday looks like in the comics?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
Pretty much.
He does not look like a Lord of the Rings troll, Jack.
Okay,
I was gonna say, well,
okay, no, like-
I thought he
are
was
you
kind of
joking?
lame.
'Cause
Honestly,
he
I thought he was
actually
just a
does.
cave troll with laser powers. Like that was what I saw.
Without the spikes, no, that is not
All right,
how we are
let's-
introduced to Doomsday.
No,
Let's
he's
be
not
honest.
right.
Like Doomsday's a shit character, guys.
He is a shit
God.
character,
He's
but
always
like,
been he's a shit character in the comic books. Like I'm not upset about them reinterpreting him.
yeah, but he's not. He's boring. Like he doesn't. It doesn't matter. That
Is
he's
he even a
good
character?
or worse.
I thought
He's
the
not even
concept of how he was created was kind of interesting. Like you take Zog or whatever his name is, and you're sort of, I don't know, reincarnating him in this sort of, unholy way, and that could have been really great.
Very
But then
cool.
when
Or
the
like how
cave
the
troll
deleted-
came out of the egg, I was like, "You're fucking kidding me! Like this is not exciting."
Well, I think you could have had. I think that's the thing is this movie is beholden to like whatever he thought was cool, and I think that runs itself into the ground. And I think that's ultimately what he does. Like, what is Lex? He's like, it's like you can tell things are happening. It definitely feels like other people were supposed to be jammed into this movie. Like I feel like Lex Luthor is a combination of the Joker and whatever the fuck Lex Luthor was supposed to be doing.
He did feel a
And
lot
after
like
they-
the Joker, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I think like in early scripts he must have gotten cut out. I think that must have happened,
Well,
and I think
And he also, I think,
Lex
they added
Luthor-
the junior part because of people getting mad about his portrayal.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh,
they
yeah.
added in the whole like.
we're gonna.
affair with
I
his-
have
Lex
no
Luthor was-
doubt after the love for this, they're gonna reboot Lex Luthor.
Lex
in some
Luthor
form or
was too
fashion.
much Joker
Oh, like
and
old
not
Lex
the
Luthor?
Lex that
Yeah.
I've grown up with. Like if you go back to the soundtrack and you listen to like the first 45, 50 seconds of the track called, I think it's like Problems Up Here. That
I need to
has,
listen
like,
to the soundtrack.
that has.
It's really
I've listened to a
good.
few tracks, but it's the shot. It's the music that you hear when Lex Luthor when Lex is entering the is entering the ship, where it has like a very classical feel, but there's something distorted about it. I felt like that song was a better representation of how Lex should have been characterized in this film. He is like because Lex from the comics is this calm, cool, collected, manipulative, calculating businessman who on the outside is totally lovable. Everyone thinks he's great, but behind the scenes he's fucked up. That's how it should have been. Where it's like he presents himself. He presents himself as very calm, cool, and collected. But it's not until when Senator Finch met with him at his house, like she got to see at least a hint of just like, no, this man is a little off his hinges. That's how it should have been, and not the Joker, but in a business suit.
Yeah, see, I knew he was crazy from the get-go, and it would have been more interesting if he had been able to hide that better and, be more cool, calm, and collected, as you say, when he was, in his lab or whatever. But then all of a sudden you get home and he's like, oh, he's actually nuts. This is
and
exciting.
One thing about Lex that's always been interesting, and they really had the setup for it, is that Lex always truly, truly believes that Superman is a threat. He's not like, doesn't hate him because he wants to do bad things, and he does bad things. But
No.
it's not just that. It's like he truly believes Superman is a threat and no one is taking it seriously. And so the line where he's like, you need a silver bullet to, for this god if he ever turns against us. That's when he's like right. That's when he's like going down the right path, even though he's still acting crazy Jesse Eisenberg Joker
That's why I'm talking about early script revisions. You can almost see what happens. It feels like in that level of Lex Luthor, like before Batman was even involved, like as a second Man of Steel movie, Lex Luthor was running around the city trying to save people out of his buildings. That makes more sense why Lex Luthor would be in Metropolis trying to save people out of his buildings, and he like breeds this undying hate for Superman in that moment when his people die, and he's just convinced of his need to death. And then you have Batman coming in as well as like a Joker figure who's just screwing shit up. And then somewhere in there it all got combined into whatever the hell Lex Luthor Jr. is now, and it just doesn't work for shit. Because that's the thing, is like you just like they went to the script writing thing and they went, oh, it'd be cool if we did this and this and this and this, and just other elements of the script just kept getting shit on. And it was, I think it's constantly this role. And that's not to say I'm saying Jesse Eisenberg's a bad person. I think it's bad. I think it's a combination of bad script and bad
No,
direction.
I like Jesse Eisenberg
I have-
actor.
I
It's just
agree.
a bad choice. People make
I
bad
have.
choices.
Well, no, I think that's the thing. I think somebody said to him, is like, oh, Facebook sans the Joker, and I think that was like the extent of his direction. Like that's all I can feel like.
The funny thing I heard is that Eisenberg was actually supposed to play Jimmy, the photographer that goes with Lois to the desert and just gets
Really?
shot right away. And
Guy
Zack
got
Snyder
shot,
thought
yeah.
that would be really funny, but instead,
Why the
he just-
fuck did they kill Jimmy Olsen off the
Of all-
bat? That
Because
makes
Zack
no
Snyder thought it would be
sense.
funny. He said there's
Because
no.
the media likes to kill characters unnecessarily. Peter heard my rant about this the other day.
Oh yeah.
I'm
Which is
sorry.
why we started talking,
No, I'm
which is why
not.
we started talking about the women in
Is this the Walking
refrigerators.
Dead or the 100? I don't know which.
It's the 100. I mean, I'm mad about The Walking Dead too, but I have never actually watched The Walking Dead, so I'm just mad about it
Alright.
on principle.
I
But
Right.
yeah,
I think the reason was
mean-
actually that he said that he didn't have any time for minor characters when he's trying to build a universe. But
You have to murder Jimmy.
But
Olsen.
Jimmy is not like Jimmy isn't so minor of a character that you can just willy-nilly shoot him off without really establishing this is Jimmy.
Yeah.
With specialty LexCorp bullets.
Oh man, that story.
Another incomprehensible plot point. But the point, like, that's the thing is, like, they were like, oh, Superman needs to, like, they want, it's kind of this thing where they wanted Superman to do something bad that would earn him the ire of the media and, like, some other things, and to kind of make the point that he's beholden to no one. And I think that makes the point is, like, when his loved ones are in danger, he's really beholden to no one because no one can stop him. And they wanted to make that point, but they kind of just, like, shot a scene, and it kind of suggests that, and I got that. I took that away from that moment, but, like, it was really weird up front to, like, introduce that. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
like, I feel like
And
there were
also
better
weird to,
ways
like-
to show Superman out of control.
yeah,
Also weird to have him like get someone else killed. Like if you kill Jimmy Olsen, make that a point, or have him show up before to save Jimmy Olsen. You know what I mean? He gets
Yeah.
killed and it doesn't affect anything, and that should be like a thing where like, dude, you showed up to save me, but you didn't save my fucking friend. You know? But like Lois Lane's just like, Jimmy Olsen got it. You know,
I was really
this
disappointed in
movie
how
needs
they
to be
wrote
so
Lois
overplayed.
Lane's character, or rather, how they didn't write her, because I feel like all she did in this movie was, get in trouble, and then Superman would save her.
That's
Which
basically
I
what
realized
she
that
does.
was probably
Like,
the
this
original
is- this
purpose
is
of her
why I
character in the
don't-
comic books, but
This is why I don't like Superman, the original movie, is because in Superman, and I know that
Oh,
movie's
we about to
better.
disagree about something. If you're saying where I'm going.
Oh Lord.
wait, you mean the one in
It
the
depends.
70s?
Yeah.
No.
You
I'm
mean
talking
Man of
about
Steel.
the Henry Cavill things.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Man of
sorry,
Steel.
sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, oh no, Jesus Christ, no, not
Okay.
that bad.
Is that
Don't
really
worry.
like Lois Lane in the original Superman?
Yeah, we do. Lois Lane, that's one of the best like superhero characters to begin, like superhero female characters to begin with. Like
Yeah,
we
she's
both agree
really
with that.
good. Yeah, okay.
Same page.
All right,
No,
we're good.
But
It's getting
but
bad.
going to Man of
Start
Steel, like I know everyone like had to like stop a minute.
Beautiful.
that would be the like we're always a little bit worried on this podcast that we're gonna go off the rails in terms of screaming at each other, but like that would have been the moment that
I would've
everything
been
broke
screaming.
down.
I would've
I was just like,
screaming.
whoa, shut the.
It's like episode 4, everyone hates everyone else now.
We all just walk away from this pissed and screaming.
I'm gonna
Talk to each
I'm
other
gonna
for,
just
like, 2
title
weeks.
this episode that. It's gonna be everyone hates everyone else now.
I really hope it's for
Superman
something
review.
like I really hope like Jungle Book, which seems like it's just gonna be a nice, good movie. We're all gonna be like, no, like, this is what ruins our friendship.
Blue.
Just shit Jungle Book.
It's
of
like-
all things.
Something that we
Scarlett
can actually like
Johansson is a
disagree
snake.
on.
I'm excited.
Idris Elba is Shere Khan. I
Yes.
Okay,
Anyway,
back to this movie.
Sorry.
I had a point. I forgot what it was. Yeah,
Lois
no, Man of
Lane.
Steel. Yeah, Man of Steel and the other things, and it comes back to this issue is that like the thing is that the central characters in Man of Steel, Henry Cavill and Amy Adams, have no chemistry and are just like lifeless in every sense of the word in both movies. They are so bad, and that's the thing is like. The core Superman cast with Lex Luthor, Henry Cavill, and Amy Adams is just the worst characters.
Okay,
Like, they are
I'll-
just
okay, I'll
so
admit, like-
miscast,
Okay, I'll
so
admit,
weirdly put together. No, hold on, Peter. Let me finish here.
Sorry,
I-
sorry, go ahead.
It's on a roll.
the whole
You-
thing is like the reason Man of Steel comes out okay is there was other characters in those and roles. There was actually a shit ton of characters in Man of Steel that were running around them doing interesting things like Zod and like Elena and like even the military guy that sacrifices himself at the end, and like you had I'm trying to forget who else. Like and who was Superman? I can't remember who was Superman's Uncle Kent. Uncle Kent, whatever.
It's fine.
Kevin Costner.
Well, even his space dad, like
Oh,
I can't
Russell
remember
Crowe?
anyone's name.
Yeah, Russell
Yeah.
Crowe.
Yeah, Russell Crowe, and then who was his other dad?
No,
I
Kevin
forget it.
Costner.
Yeah, like the main like thrust in that movie is done by like essentially like two characters talking to Henry Cavill. Like Cavill just takes it in, and that's the thing is like as like just a muscular man, he's like essentially like Arnold Schwarzeneggering that movie a little bit. He's just muscular, and his space dad and his Earth dad and his Kansas dad are like having conversations about what he should be doing for society, and I think
That is
it
true.
makes it more interesting, and that's the only way you can make that character work is somebody else like arguing with him.
Well, I think it's the problem. Yeah, both these movies, Superman is like not in his own movie anymore, and you're right. I think it's part of the problem.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing, and I think that's the thing is back when we were like all worried about Batfleck, and I was like, God, Ben Affleck as Batman is actually my favorite Batman. And
I thought he did very well. Yeah.
I was.
I don't know if I go favorite, but like
I was
I
not worried about
very
that.
Curious.
Well, no. Who would you say is? I mean, I'm actually like that's a more nebulous conversation. I'm not gonna like die over the Batfleck, but like I would say that he's a very, very, very good Batman. Who would you say is the best, Ben?
I still like Michael Keaton the best. I think his films are a little goofier.
Michael Keaton was pretty good.
I think that's the thing
but
is
I think
like
he really captured both elements really well. But I do like. As a very tired, older Batman, he's perfect. I think that's what's great.
Right.
I don't know if I would like him
think
as a year one Batman, but as a long into
his
career,
no. I agree with
Arkham
that.
Knight style Batman, he's perfect for that. And I want to see that storyline. I love that idea of let's just
really want
put Batman in his future. You know, like we saw the shooting. You always had to see the shooting, but no training other than the CrossFit. You know what I mean? But no, like
CrossFit. I was like, of course he did this in the mountains with ninjas. That's what the ninjas have been doing in the mountains forever is CrossFit.
They just need to show him making his whey protein shakes.
I missed Michael Caine as Alfred. I mean, Jeremy Irons was great, but I love Michael Caine.
Yeah, Jeremy Irons
is great as a
That's
dick.
a toss-up.
That's the problem, and Michael Caine is so sweet. You know, like when Michael Caine says that whole like, "I wish you, I don't want to bury you." It's just like, oh,
yeah,
my heart broke. My heart broke.
Again, good moments in this movie. Like they made interesting changes in terms of like Jeremy Irons isn't his butler; he's more of his pal in crime, and that was just like that's realistic. Like fucking Batman, I imagine him eventually saying, "Alfred, you're not my butler. You're just like somebody that like."
It was just basically an older British version of Iron Man working with Batman to make cool gadgets. That's how I felt. He even actually, I thought he even looked a little bit like Robert Downey Jr. with like the sort of spiky hairstyle and stuff. I was really confused. I actually didn't know it was Jeremy Irons until I watched the credits. I was like, oh.
Interesting.
And that was you, okay. I mean, I knew it wasn't RDJ, but it looked like him, and I was just really thrown off by it, you know?
They should remember that. They should remember that, like, when they need, like, I don't know, some alternate future Avengers for, like, Avengers 17, they need, they need to pull in Jeremy Irons to play old Robert Downey Jr.
I hope that Jeremy Irons is still alive by the time they make Avengers 17.
Oh, yeah. Of course they're going to have a
flash
flash-forward sequence.
Guy.
I hate to say this, guys, but this is something that actually is a risk to things. Is like you talk about like old comic books and stuff. Is like comic books wasn't always a superhero-dominated medium.
Nope.
Superheroes is an excellent medium for delivering a tale in such a fashion, and that's why it took over comics. It's going to take over movies in the same way, and I think that's one of the things. Is like I hear like superhero fatigue, and I was like, I don't really actually think the numbers support that as a thing.
I think they need to get more creative with the types of superheroes that they have, like the special powers that they have. But
no,
you're right.
I think this is the thing is that I'm saying like critics are out of touch with what's actually happening here.
Well, I
think that's coming true in this movie because I feel like critics just want to start slaying at superhero movies, and I feel like a lot of the ire that came at Batman v Superman is really not warranted here. Like this movie is probably Avengers, like maybe like where Man of Steel is like a 50 to a 60, but like it is not like the bottom of the barrel. Like the things that people are like have rated. Yeah, I think that's exact. I think that Rotten Tomatoes is like what's honestly driving me crazy. And I know that's like its aggregate score, but like at the same time, like I do think it's representative of like the level of people that are saying don't see this movie.
Silence.
Crowd goes silent.
No,
I think like do people agree? Like, do you think the ire is fair to this movie? Like, do you think it's deserved?
I mean, I think it's fair because it fails as a movie to stand alone as a movie. But
I disagree with that. I mean, I think it enjoys and engaging me, and it's a joyful experience.
Remind me when we were talking about it a little bit before this podcast. You said one of you guys was showing the ratings on Rotten Tomatoes, and you're like, this movie is. Oh, was it The Room that it was rated even lower than?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's
Which
just
is fair, 'cause
sad.
the
Let's
room's
specify
like-
I
which
think
room.
it's better than the room. That's
the
yeah.
room, as in the
As in, I did not hit her, Mark. That room.
I did not hit her, Mark.
Oh my god! I am yet to see that movie in full. I will
You
listen
need
to
Oh
it.
man, it's
not.
it's
It's not
so
watchable.
good because
like,
it's
I mean, that's the
so
thing. Is, like,
bad.
you compare
No,
it to
Batman
that movie.
vs
and,
Superman
that
was
movie
not
is not
that bad.
physically watchable.
No.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, the
Like,
room
it's-
is rated highly ironically. I mean, that's part of the problem. You know what I mean? And that's part of the problem with Rotten Tomatoes. It's like no one is actually legitimately going to give the room a good review. They're going to give it a good review because they're like, it's fun as an experience, which
Yeah.
it is. It's a very fun, watchable bad movie. But
Rotten
as an
Tomatoes is
actual
more-
piece of art, it's terrible. It's
Yeah.
obvious.
And that's the thing is like the Rotten Tomatoes is more trends and is more of a trend setter than anything else.
Well,
It
yeah, I
shows
mean,
a
compare
trend.
the Rotten Tomatoes
in-
to Metascore, and the Metacritic, it's like 48. Like that's about what you said. Like, yeah,
No, it's not what I
alright.
said. I think 48 is low, Ben. I do think it's low.
I think it's high.
I think that's super low for this movie. I don't think it deserves that kind of hate. There's so much shit in the 70s on Metacritic that is absolutely it has exactly the same sort of plot, like dysaphora, like total total the plot is like total shit, and the movie is still a fun experience. And they're like, it's a fun experience, and they slap a 70 on it. I do think there is a little bit of like superhero assassination going on in the critics here.
I don't think they're out to get it. I think it's just more that this is not good.
No, it became
This is
popular to
a film
hate.
that-
It's not a great movie, and it became popular to hate.
I
It's
think it
not
became
I do agree
popular
with
hate,
that.
but I
They
think
want
it
to
represents a lot of things that are wrong with big budget movies in general. Anyways, I think it's.
I mean, on the back end, but that's still like saying like the back end is not really judging the movie for what it is. Like you're saying like, oh, there's a lot of problems with like how the system works and this movie getting made and spending $800 million.
No, I don't think
And I
they're
think
rating
that's a lot
that.
of
I'm saying
shit.
they're rating more in just the issues in terms of shoving in everything to make a cinematic universe without doing it well, making characters that aren't really relatable, long
Okay,
sequences
so-
of actions that aren't really easy to watch. You know, there are a lot of issues that a lot of bad.
Okay,
action
I
movies
disagree
have.
there. Like I'm gonna say this. Like the action in this movie is not hard to watch.
I think
It
it
was
is. I think
very-
it's boring. to
I think
watch.
it's pointless.
I
I
Pretty
think you're-
much, except
you're
for the
flat
fight
wrong
at the
there.
the fight at the end probably didn't even need to be as long as it was, but for me it was never mind.
The whole
you keep going.
let's
Jack.
be honest, the whole Batman v Superman fight is like 12 minutes. And it's exciting, and I think the thing is that they went for it did the traditional Zack Snyder thing. He went to make a comic book superhero movie, and he made that. And I think that he made those comic book images, and I think that that's the thing is it feels a little bit more still, but I think that's because he's literally translating kind of like images from the page in such a way that I found very compelling. Like, shooting the grappling hook at him, he's like kind of weakened, throwing him through pillars. Like, it's kind of this different feeling to like what happens in like superhero movies. And I mean, I'll definitely agree. Like, the Winter Soldier had such amazing action. It was clearly like doing something differently. Like, this wasn't doing anything in terms of cinematography. It was just creating interesting tableaus. And that's the thing is like Zack Snyder works in tableaus. He had interesting tableaus in his mind, and like the fight in that sense is interesting, even if it wasn't like totally comprehensible in terms of the actual, like, it's not doing the Hong Kong cinema thing obviously, but it's still doing fairly clear action. It's just slower down. It just doesn't have the rapid cutting sequences, which is kind of what modern movies are doing more and more. Like, let's be honest, like the final fight scene in fucking Age of Ultron when they're in the thing is like absolutely terrible. You can't tell what the fuck is happening, and this movie was so absolutely superior in terms of the final fight scene versus that. And then when Wonder Woman comes in, it just gets fucking better with
Wonder
Doomsday. I
Woman!
mean, I think this.
Oh my
I'd
god.
love for that.
Like, literally, I was jumping up and down in my seat
You did.
as
You
soon
did. That's the
as,
thing.
like, the smoke clears and you think it's, oh, well, Superman's come to save Batman. That's great, whatever. But then it's fucking Wonder Woman is, yeah.
When I saw it the second time with friends, there had to be like at least 20 people who started clapping. There was a woman who was like several rows behind me who was like, "Get him, girl!" I was like, it was great.
Yeah.
It was
Because
great.
people clap in a 45 on Metacritic movie. That happens.
Yeah, because guess what? It's so easy to make that moment. Because it's so
so easy, Ben.
easy to make a moment
No, it's
cool
not.
with zero impact. That person had no character. Wonder Woman had zero
This is
character.
true. This is very
And
true. I don't
you can
disagree
make
with
someone
that.
come in and have a cool moment and go wow wow on the guitar because that just naturally inherently makes your lizard brain go.
It's
Yes,
actually
this is
not a
cool.
guitar, Ben, if we're going to be honest.
Yeah, there was no guitar.
It's more of a
Just throwing
synth.
that out
It
there.
was, it was something, but
Ben, I think the difference is like you want like her to have these deep character interactions.
No, I wanted to have a character, Jack. I wanted to have
no. Okay, there was good characterization in there in terms of like just in that moment of like Batman having the robotic oh shit and then fumbling around like a buffoon and then Wonder Woman stomping in and saving his ass. That is characterization. She's a powerful woman and it imbibes her with that kind of thing.
See, I think
in this movie.
That is. Let me have a feminism moment. I think that is what characterization of strong women has been in the past, but it's 2016. There have been so many better developed strong female characters since then that yes, while it was awesome when Wonder Woman showed up, and like I said, I was super excited. I feel like she could have had more characterization in this movie, but I do realize that they're building up to her movie next year. But for all intents and purposes, within this film, she was not a well-developed character.
I mean, she was just like Scarlett Johansson coming in Iron Man 2 and having her introduction.
Yes.
With the rest of the Marvel universe
and that's
there.
fine. It's the same thing. And then the Black Widow might go on to be an interesting character in a movie, just like Wonder Woman's going to go on to be, well, not her own
she
movie,
was kind of side-shunted as a love interest in Avengers, so that doesn't look like anything.
That's very true.
Go on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, at least
like, that's the thing is you're saying there's no
Christ.
characterization, but there's characterization within the movie, Ben, and I think that they do characterize whether or not it's a good Batman movie. I think there is like piss poor characterization in.
She was a Bond girl
themes.
in this movie.
That's a good thing. Yeah. Bond
Yeah,
girls
I mean,
and shit.
I'm not disagreeing.
I mean, she
like,
was cool, and she ended up being a fucking badass,
Actually,
obviously.
I was about
but
to say,
She didn't
like
get murdered,
no,
though, so she's not
no
really
Bond
a
movie has ever treated a
Just
like
as
a
she
heroine
emerges in
that
the
well.
elegant evening dress.
yeah,
at
and
the
she does some
sophisticated
cool, like,
party.
technological thing or whatever. I mean, she didn't have
Okay,
the same
but
fate as a Bond
picture.
girl. Like,
When has a
Superman didn't
Bond girl
swoop in
a
and
Bond-
save
and I
her
might be
ass,
wrong,
but
when has a Bond girl ever saved James Bond?
in Casino Royale.
Oh, that's
Yes.
right. Yeah.
Casino Royale is still the best
I don't
James
think.
Bond movie. It's just,
I'm not gonna
It's just all the
exactly, but I mean, outside of Casino Royale.
Hey, look, I'm not gonna start. I love my James Bond movies, but I'm not gonna. But see,
I
those
know.
ones I do find fun.
Do you? But like, come on, let's be honest. Like, do you think James Bond movies treat their characters as well as this movie treated Wonder Woman?
Some do. I think some do, but some don't.
Like Casino Royale, I'll agree. Vespa's a really interesting full character, even though that has that bit at the end.
No, sure, but I still think that I tend to find those movies to be a lot more enjoyable than this. Now,
Okay, that's not the question.
this
I
is
do.
Wow.
But you're the one saying it's enjoyable, and I just didn't find it enjoyable. I found the movie a slog. I found it a lot of setup
Okay, I
into
flowed through
30
it.
minutes of
I mean-
boring action. Boring action.
Do we want to let me have the last word
It's
yet,
not
guys?
boring. What's up?
I was just asking if y'all wanted to let me go ahead and have the last word yet.
Oh no, we're not there. We haven't even done the bids.
Oh,
It's
okay.
54 minutes. Shut up. I'm gonna get this.
Can I mention?
You sit there and watch, Trevor.
Can I mention two moments though?
Do you have
that,
to
like,
pee?
that-
'Cause
that-
screw you.
Wow. Can I mention two moments that I had though when I saw this movie with my friends that made at the very least the last 20 minutes of the movie surprisingly funny.
was that?
So like,
What?
so first when that happened during that last fight with Doomsday, when Clark and Lois are like beside themselves, like, and they stop everything to be like, "I love you." I
Hard
heard
eyes.
I heard 2-3 black people, and they had to be black because that's the only way that they could have done this. I heard 2-3 teeth sucked, like sets of teeth sucked. It was so on cue. The second it slowed down, the second they started, I was just like teeth sucked. I was like there, and there. I hear you. You can be only black. That is the only thing you can be, because that is my exact reaction. The first time I saw this movie, I was so over it. Second they tried to make it happen.
I just want to point out, in case I've never said this, that Peter is black. I just want to point that out, and that I am so uncomfortable.
I am fairly
The only
certain.
sake of my
person allowed to
following.
say-
I'm fairly certain that our listeners probably cannot tell by how I sound when I talk. But yes, I am.
I was
black.
about to say. It's like, people are looking at our Facebooks and they're like, I bet that
Like,
Jack
what the
Newman's the
hell?
guy that said that.
No, yes. I am Peter, and I am the
Oh,
black guy of the
God.
group. Anyway, so there was that. But then the second time, the second moment, when Doomsday stabs Superman with his spike. First, like second it happened, like the second that happened, there was like some young, like had to be like maybe 7, 8, 9-year-old boy that was like a row behind me to our left, who like who let out a short yelp. But then, like when it becomes apparent, no, Superman's dead. There was like this young woman to our left on our row, who, I shit you not, started crying, like tearing up, sniffling,
Guys,
trying
like
to.
it had that reaction to some parts of the
freaking
audience.
out.
Yeah, but
Yeah, like you.
like it was just, it was unexpected. It was so unexpected to hear someone like less than 10 feet from me start to try to quiet herself crying with her friends, and her friends asking, "Are you okay? Right, is everything all right?" And the three of us are looking at each other just like, "Oh my god, like she is having a reaation to this scene." Zack Snyder set this shit up good for her. I think it just made it made my movie going experience the second time around like just more fun for me because it was like real audience.
Yeah.
I think there's more of an emotional reaction to be had in this movie. I think like if you go in and you turn on your movie critic brain, it just implodes like halfway through.
Oh yeah.
I think you can go into this movie and have an experience like Demolition Man. If you go into Demolition Man or Top Gun and turn on your movie critic brain, you're fucked. Like you're not gonna have fun. But if you turn it off and you go and watch it, you're gonna have a good time. And I stick by that. I think you can turn your brain off in this movie and have a fucking good time. Because I did. I had it. And I think that, Ben, you can't turn off your editing brain, and you can't turn off the fact that there's no fucking establishing shots.
I can turn it off, but I still really enjoy Demolition Man and Top Gun because I find those to be well-composed, interesting, well-shot movies.
Well, there are bad movies out there that you enjoy, Ben, that you admit is enjoy. And if you say The Room, I swear to God, I will hunt you down and murder you.
I do enjoy watching The Room, but for how bad it is.
Yeah, like, just say on here, Batman v Superman is better than The Room for me.
It is. It's a better movie than The Room. Yes.
But can you just like say it?
Yeah. Would you like that? Would that make you feel better?
Yeah.
Batman vs Superman is better than The Room. Not Room. Room's perfect.
Okay, good. Because now I have it on audio, and I'm just gonna edit some ridiculous shit at the end. I am Benjamin Hayworth, and I like Batman v Superman.
Congratulations, Ben. You just gave Jack his new ringtone for whenever you call him.
Yes.
I am Benjamin Hayworth, and I approve this message.
Casablanca.
Fuck you. Nothing's better than Casablanca.
Right.
I love that we're still on that page. We still always have Paris, Ben.
Yes, we do.
Okay, I think that's going to be enough time for me to sit and suck on editing this. Let's go ahead and start wrapping up with scores. Oh, fuck. This is going to be terrible. All right. Everyone is going to give me your score, and you're going to justify it. And I'm going to go ahead and start out with you, Trevor.
I'll give it a generous 3 out of 10.
Ooh.
You want to justify that?
Yeah, I guess I can. Well, I gave Star Wars, just for reference point for me, I gave Star Wars Force Awakens a 5 out of 10 because I thought it did like half of what a good movie should do. So I guess I can give it at least a 3, like a little over the halfway mark there, and just as far as presenting some really cool action sequence and setup, but not actually having much of a plot or character motivations or... Yeah, that's 3 out of 10.
Sarah, you're up.
Okay, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10. You know, as I'm usually a fairly neutral person on movies, I guess. But I went in. It was all right. I didn't absolutely hate it. There were a lot of things it could have done better. It did not need to be as long as it was. And if I hadn't had my super fangirl moment about Wonder Woman, I probably would have also given it a 3 out of 10, maybe a 4 out of 10. But she was just so cool in that last fight scene that she gives it an extra point. And I'm very excited to see where the Marvel Universe goes with her character.
There is so much
DC Universe.
On my mic right
also,
now.
just so everyone
DC,
knows.
I'm sorry. I don't do comic books. Y'all know
No,
this.
it's fine. Just so everyone knows, Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman is worth 2 points to Sarah.
This is true.
$800 million film and one character. It's just like...
She was the best part for me. You'll know this.
Sarah, if we are able to, we need to go see Wonder Woman when it comes out next year together.
Yes.
Just saying.
I would kill to do that. That'd be fun.
I will come down to
Yes.
Houston and go
I
see
want
it
to see
with
Do
you.
Jake
it.
Wolfgang girl the hell out.
Oh my god.
All right, Peter, you're up.
I will give it a 6. As a critic for the sake of this podcast, I definitely saw the movie's flaws as far as like pacing and script writing and editing and no establishing shots and whatever else, what all else we discussed in this episode. But as a comic nerd, I appreciated the imagery that Zack Snyder presented. I appreciated the nods to like the nods to various things that have happened in the DC comics, to the references of what will happen references of what will happen in future DC universe films, like with Flash showing up and Bruce Wayne saying, "Hey, get us all together." Lois Lane's the key with with the footage of the characters that we're gonna see in the next few years. For the fight sequence at the end, I thought Snyder gave me like a really good presentation of the larger than life fight battle scenes that we get from the DC comics on a movie screen. So I definitely appreciated for that as a nerd. That scene, just visually speaking, that was great. Sorry, I see you, Jack. I'm done. Thank you.
All right. And
Mike,
does anyone remember what I gave Star Wars? Because I don't. Did I give Star Wars a
I think it was
6?
6.
Shit. All right, Ben, go.
Yeah, I might have my own shit moment because I'm gonna give this a minor surprise, maybe for some people, a 4, because not that that's a great score, but as much as I yell about this movie, I don't hate it. It just frustrates me. I think it's the main thing about it. It is a very frustrating film. I do agree with Jack. I want DC to do something a little bit more interesting and in depth. I think the Nolan films, at least 2 of them, really tried. I think they all tried, but I think the third one didn't really get there.
Yeah.
But I think those films, I think DC has characters that have that long of tradition and have started out as these archetypal characters and had to go into these much more interesting characters throughout the years. So, but man, there's just a lot of problems. And, listen, less than 50 minutes for all of them. You don't need to hear them again from me. It's just clunky and it's problematic, and I want it to be better. So that's all. And I like Batman, and I want my Batman to be better. And I feel sad. Yeah. So forth.
I think so.
Oh, and if Zack Snyder listens and wants to give me a job, it's 10 out of 10. I throw all pretenses of honesty and journalistic integrity out the window.
Yeah.
God.
It's okay. When you're looking for a job, no one has any morals.
10 out of 10.
All right,
Best
Kiss
movie.
all the
So-
ass you can.
My turn, you motherfuckers.
Oh God.
10 out of 10. No, I really actually find it super funny how me and Ben's own scoring system is going to temper both of us. Because
Probably.
I just look back. I gave Star Wars: The Force Awakens, to my knowledge, a 7.5. So
I don't think you rated it that highly, Jack, because I gave it an 8.
Jack, you
Right.
gave Star Wars a
You gave it a
6
6.
because I gave it a 5.
Shit.
Yeah, you
Did you
straight
get
white
starting out
boys
critical?
over here.
Representation.
Representation matters.
Really? You're doing that again?
Yes.
God. It should be good representation. Now, whatever.
Good.
Another
That's a
argument.
fair
That's
point.
an argument for another
actually,
day.
Yeah.
No, I mean there's good representation. I don't think movie scoring systems should be dependent upon the color of the individual in the movie.
Just an observation
That I'm white? Thanks, Sarah.
about the film.
And I have a penis. Hey, stop looking at my penis, Sarah.
I am doing. You fuck off, Jack Newman.
Oh my God.
All right, I'm sorry. I give Batman
You're
to
mean.
Superman. Unfortunately, I was been super harsh with the movies at this point, so as much as I might want to shift the score a little bit higher, I can't. Because this movie's not better than Star Wars. It's just not. So I have to give this movie a 5.5.
Oh, he's just squeaked it in.
Don't say shit. Plus 4 plus 5.5. 5. That
Math, ladies and gentlemen.
I know. Fuck you.
No, just saying. Just saying.
That brings our score for Batman v Superman up to 4.7, which I'm going to round to a 5.
That's about that 50%. That's about what I feel it should have been on Rotten Tomatoes, in my opinion. So
I think that's actually it's a point above Ben, a point below me. I think that's actually a super solid score in terms of us. I stand by the actual ratings that like this podcast has given shit so far. I mean, it's kind of weird that I actually like appreciate probably the actual score the cast gives as to what I give. I feel like I'm just trying to lower everything so far, and now when I want to raise something up, I'm screwed. Okay, all right. So that's been this week for the Movie Gang podcast. We're gonna go move on to bets real fast and get us out of here.
Don't forget my last word.
I know.
Oh
We'll get
my
you on the
God.
way out. I gotta clean. I have to. You have to do something for the last word because I need to clean all this fucking spittle off the mic. It's actually like super disgusting. There's literally just like shit all over this that I've like spit while yelling.
I mean, after burping on
sorry,
it,
viewer.
like before we started, you know.
It still smells like Mexican food. Anyways, so next week, Hardcore Henry comes out next Friday.
Woo.
And as you know, there's been some things about people saying that like it's gonna make people sick and a lot of other things. And in terms of like it's supposed to be an excellent action experience as well as like kind of just a shitty backstory, but just all action with a POV perspective that might make some audience members sick and some happy. So I think for next week, we're going to look at the existing Rotten Tomatoes score, and we're gonna all pick a number and the individual closest to the score as it comes out. Right now, there's 20 reviews out, and it's probably going to continue to rise as the week goes on. But there's already knowing now that the Rotten Tomatoes score for Hardcore Henry sits at 89%.
Wow.
With 20
Damn.
reviews. Where do you guys think it's going to ultimately fall?
Now, does everybody know what film this is? I just want to ask.
Yes.
Sure.
Or I've seen
Have
the
you guys seen the
commercials
trailer?
for it. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, awesome. So good. So I'm just going to do the same list. First up is Trevor.
You just want me to give it a Rotten Tomatoes score?
Yeah,
And it's at 89 right now.
right.
Okay. I mean, I'm excited to see it, and it looks pretty good. So I guess I'll maybe just be cynical and shoot for a little lower than what's on Rotten Tomatoes right now and give it an 80.
Trevor with the 80, guys. Sarah.
I'm going to give it, I'll give it a 75 because I was originally going to give it a 70, but at the same time thinking about the audience that this is going to attract, I feel like a lot of people who play first-person shooter games like Call of Duty are going to love this film, but their significant others who they drag along to see it who don't play Call of Duty are going to hate it, and they're the ones who are going to get sick, which is why I'm going to rate it lower than its current rating.
Peter.
Gonna go to the bathroom.
I was originally gonna say 90, like basically what it's at, more or less, but kind of for the same reason as Sarah, but not nearly as low. Not nearly as low. I'm gonna say 85.
85. All right, so we got 80, 75, 85. Ben, you're up.
Dang, you took all my answers. Well, let's see. So I want to go really high or really low. I guess is the question. It's tough because...
So we
Oh, sorry.
also in the future, I'm gonna do a thing where we like make our scores beforehand by the number, and we turn them in because this is silly because we're all highballing or lowballing each other. So
That's true.
Like,
We're
'cause
stuck in the same score.
you're not supposed to necessarily say that, Ben. There's like you're looking at everyone else's score, saying this is what I think is gonna happen. I mean,
Right.
next week we'll do something differently, but I fucked up the bet. But who gives a shit?
That's
Go,
fine.
Ben.
It's fine. So yeah, I guess the question is, do I want to go lower or higher than everybody? But I think it's tough because it's the kind of film I could see a lot of critics being like, ugh, why? But I also think they might appreciate just how completely open it is. They always say like, it looks like a video game as a criticism, but this literally is supposed to look like a video game. And I think a fair amount of critics will look at it and say this does what it's supposed to. So it probably won't be that high, and I'll probably be wrong, but I'll just go ahead and go for 90.
All right, 90.
If it gets a 90, I will not at all be mad. Not gonna lie.
No, I think there could be a potential that critics will say, okay, maybe this isn't even for me, but I get what they were going for, and what they were going for they nailed.
Which is the thing. You look at what's going to happen. Like, are the percentages of people are saying don't go see Batman v Superman. A lot of people are going to say this is a weird experience. Go check it out, type of deal. So that it does get the things of like giving it at least a possible positive review. And I think I agree with that.
Like, I hated this, but I get what it is. You know.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie to you, Ben. This is going to be really shitty. Because I think that I honestly think. Well, I'm sorry, Ben. I think 91. I think 91 is a suicide number.
Yeah.
Like that's, and this is why we need to change. I realized as soon as I bet it at the end, I was like, "Well, I'm fucked."
Yeah, there's no way it's going above 90. Yeah.
Right. So I'm gonna take 89%.
Yes, such a dick.
It basically all turns
I'm
into
taking
a Price is
exactly
Right
where it is
situation.
at this moment.
Is that what we averaged out to? Is 89?
No, Jack's just being a dick.
Okay.
Jack is sitting over there playing The Price is Right. What did the last person bid? 1,200. 1,201.
Super Dick to the rescue!
He did
It makes
just
91
say
though,
that
it'd
we
be
need
so
to start
fucking
changing the way we do it.
Still more personality than Henry Cavill.
Oh boy.
All right.
Well,
so
he
that's
still
it
only
for
picked
this week.
2% range because he's next to 85. So at least I feel okay about that.
I mean, yeah, my range is actually super small. Like if there's a big if there's a big drop in the score in either direction, like I'm fucked. So
Yeah, so I don't feel
it's
too
not
bad
actually
about
that good. Yeah, like actually, to be honest, like the person with the best score as proved last week. So this has been the Movie Gang podcast. We're going to let Trevor close out the podcast in just 1 minute. But as a heads up, if you guys would give us some questions to answer on the next podcast about, our personal lives, experiences, what we think about certain movies, send it to at Newman Visuals at Twitter, or you can go to the Podbean as well as on iTunes, post some comments, concerns, anything else. Just give us some information. Let us know that there's a community out there that loves us, because we love you, community. We love you. Now, last week, our bets were along the lines of what was going to be the Rotten Tomato score for Batman v Superman. We were way the fuck off.
Dear
we
God,
were
we?
not even in the stratosphere of what it is, because the low bet last week was Trevor Flynn with 50%, and currently the tomato meter sits at 29% for Batman v Superman.
Damn. That low.
So, Trevor,
So he was
your
21%
shit
off.
victory.
Stratosphere, though, just saying.
Here is your shit victory. Do a dance, my friend. No one else may speak. Trevor, you get the last words on this movie that you betted on. Batman v Superman. What do you have to tell us?
All right, well, I want to start off by saying I don't want to just go up on a soapbox about how bad superhero movies are, like Sean did last time. Because I wouldn't have ever expected the score on this to be quite that low. And I do think there is a little bit to be said of the argument that the critics are just really enjoying hating it because it's part of a superhero trend that they really don't like. That said, as much as we've discussed everything that went wrong in this movie, as much as there was a script problem, as much as there were plot holes, as much as the main villain was not only not despicable in the wrong way, but not even properly motivated, as much as we've talked about all those criticisms, I can still appreciate that there's an element in there of just seeing the iconic DC superheroes assemble and team up and have some awesome action sequences. I think, Jack, you call them tableaus, where there are at least these kind of ideas clashing in conflict and play, and that's fun to watch. And Zack Snyder really can make a really good shot. Yeah, I'll agree with that. On the other hand, I've never really liked Zack Snyder for much the same reason. I didn't go see 300. I thought it was dumb. I maybe could have at least gone with my friends in high school and seen 300 and enjoyed it for what it was, but I thought it was dumb. So this is the same guy who did 300. This is the same guy who did Watchmen. Contrasting this to something like 300 where he's in his element and he's still like giving you the movie it's supposed to be, I'd contrast this with that in that he throws all these ideas in there about like gods and men and like what superheroes potentially are that he just like references but doesn't really develop. And I think post Christopher Nolan especially, he gets criticized for that a lot more than he maybe otherwise would. But as compelling as some of the action sequences are, as compelling as some of the images are, I would have been a lot more invested if I felt that there was anything worth fighting for, being debated. Like, for instance, with the extended dream sequences, there's just this really over-the-top long fight that, yeah, sets up something later in the universe, but there is no reason for me to be invested in at the moment. And I think that really comes down to why I didn't like it, but I can still kind of appreciate why the fans liked it, and that's going to be my last word. So.
You mean last fucking essay,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. Sorry.
You get the last thing. Sign off. Sign us off, man. I'm sorry. That was dickish of me.
That's Jack.
No, you're good. You're good. Thanks, guys, for listening
Fuck
to my my really monologue, I guess. Tune in next week, next time. Did we discuss what we're going to be doing next? I guess we haven't picked Jungle
No,
Book
we have
or
not.
Hardcore.
Hardcore Henry, I
Henry
think
yet,
is.
right?
I really want to do Hardcore Henry.
All right.
I'm really like.
Well-
I'm hardcore for that.
Yeah.
Wow.
All right. Well, just to bundle it up, thanks for listening to all the love and hate and the vitriol, and we managed to get through this. So.
Your energy inspires me, Trevor. We'll see you later.